Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome back to the Kings of Anglia Fan Social. This week, I'm joined by good old Mark Jubb, making his debut, good old Baines and Brad, as we discuss all things town. Another week done and dusted. Hope everybody listening has had a great week. We've been able to find some set pieces to talk about this week because not much has happened, but we're back for another episode. I'm going to get right into it. Introduce the man making his debut. He made a few appearances on game day at the end of the season, and he impressed me that much. I got him involved with the fan social. Mark, how are you doing, my friend? And how are you feeling about making your debut on the podcast?
Oh, thanks, Ross. Yeah, thank you for inviting me on. It's a real privilege, and yeah, as you say, it was great to catch up with you during those away days towards the back end of the season. Some long journeys, helping you out with your pie at Morecambe. I think it's definitely my key takeaway and help there. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to this. It's nice to be on the other side. As a fan, I watch the socials, that get produced, and then here I am on the other side now. So hopefully, I'll do you guys justice.
I'm sure you will do, mate. Yeah, thanks once again for holding the camera and sorting the pie out for Morecambe. Yeah, I saw your Morecambe, Crewe, Shrewsbury. We didn't win any of those games.
Oh dear. Not good. No.
But as Mark said, anybody who wants to get involved, always just drop me a line at Ross Media UK. It's always good to get some more voices heard and stuff like that. And of course, we've got some good regulars joining me this week who haven't been on for a while, but they do make their return. I'm going to go over to good old Bainesy. How you doing, my friend? It's always a pleasure. Your beard is growing a bit bigger now after the last time I spoke to you, because you did have a clean shaven because you said you had an important meeting, but now you've let it grow back again.
It was a work event. Our panel of solicitors took us out. I'm never one to refuse a free drink or a free meal off solicitors. We pay a lot of money, but very good. Been back in the office at work this week, so I've been chatting to some people about Wes Burns' call up because I work in Cardiff. Many people were interested to know more about him, but yeah, very happy to be back on and to get stuck into some more town stuff.
Indeed, my friend. And yeah, I forgot to say that intro. We've got an international player now. Hopefully he does win some caps, and hopefully Wales do get to the World Cup just for the sweet Welsh Prince Harry Davis and good old Welsh Mark and all the other Welsh listeners we have there. We are rooting for you, but also they could play Scotland because Scotland have to play Ukraine. But enough of that talk. Brad, how you doing, my friend? Welcome back to the podcast. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Hello, Ross. Hello, Mark. Hello, Tom. Yeah, great to be back. Looking forward to this. And yeah, more on Wes Burns' call up. Thoroughly deserved, man. So what a season he had. And I hope he does well, but he might do that well, but he gets a bit of recognition for it and a few scouts coming his way, and could be a few bids. You never know. I think he's going to do it, smash it. He might not even get many minutes. I hope he does get. I hope he at least gets on, but I think he'll impress in training, and I think he'll impress all Wales squad. So. We've got to hold on to him because he's a top player.
Indeed, and yeah, I think they've got like 5 National League games as well. I think they're playing Poland and some other teams. So he's guaranteed. You've got to play a few minutes. Come on, Rob Page, whoever the Wales manager is.
Yeah,
pretty much. All right then, boys. So our first set piece on just stop there, did it? Really? But it's fine. It's fine. Enough about Wes Burns. We've spoken about him too much now. Let him steady himself for Wales and then come back pre-season and he's firing the goals again. But today, the first set piece on the podcast is talking about, I'm giving you the power to sign one player realistically this summer. You have the power to sign anybody you would want realistically. So no, Mbappe's and, Harry Kane, all that sort of stuff, because of course we do need a striker. But Mark, I've given you the power to sign one player you would like to sign, realistically, of course. Who have you got for us?
Thanks, Ross. Look, I'm a big fan of Edmondson. I think he's done really well coming in, joining us from Glasgow Rangers. It was unfortunate that he got his injury, and we had an adequate backup in Cameron Burgess. But I think we saw some of the weaknesses on that left side. We love Ganassi and we love Burns on the right side, and we hope that Ashton will sort out the left wing, so that sort of marries up. So I might not be Burgess's greatest fan, but I think as somebody that I would sign as a very good backup would be Ryan Tafazoli from Wycombe. my brother-in-law and the side of the family, they're big Wycombe Wanderers fan. We have a lot of banter this year. I've got bragging rights because we beat them home and away. All of that it's been really good. But I am impressed with him as a defender, and he's left-sided as well. He can play the ball out from the back. He's got an eye for the long pass as well. I think if I was Ashton and I had that ability, then I think he would be a very good acquisition to the Ipswich back line.
And of course, secretly you were behind enemy lines. Of course, you went to Wembley because of the Wycombe connection, so you had an opportunity to go to Wembley. Of course, unfortunately, not seeing Town, but what was that like? Seeing a playoff final in Europa? Sunderland, of course, 40,000 fans out there.
So second visit to New Wembley. We won't go and revisit the stat about which teams haven't been to New Wembley yet. But second visit. Obviously, before that, I'd been to an England game, England-Lithuania, and I'd been right up the very top. So it was, it's like watching stick men down, a bit like Newcastle away when you're that high up. But this time round, I was standing in the Category 2 area. I was on the goal line near the corner. So the view was great. The stadium was, as you'd imagine, was electric. The Sunderland with their support, and there were Sunderland fans in with the Wycombe fans as well. I even saw a guy wearing a Sheffield Wednesday top. So there definitely was a spread of League One teams, fans, shall we say, in there with the Wycombe helping them boost their numbers. But from a game perspective, it was good. It was a good game. I Stockdale. I mean, what was he playing at with that shot? I turned to my brother-in-law and he's just like head in hands. He'd been so solid for the team throughout the season, and I did remind him that it was very similar to the one that Selena scored against him at Adams Park, but had to get that one in as well. But I mean, in the second half, Wycombe did up their game. As you would expect, it's a one-off game that and the prize is promotion, and of course they did tire towards the end. A couple of key players had to come off through injury, so it was only a matter of time, really. You're going to see Sunderland score the second goal, and of course Ross Stewart. Well, I mean, what season he's had for Sunderland? He's going to come up, poach a goal like that. So fair play. It's a big team in out of League One, we should say, in Sunderland, and they've been there for 4 years. Let's hope it's us following them out of the league next season.
Hopefully so. So Brad Bainesy, Mark's given us Ryan Tafazoli. What's your thoughts on that one then? Another centre half, but he's done well with Wycombe. I've always liked him actually as a player. I think I was speaking to good old Mark Beck about him, and he was at Mansfield. I really liked him at Mansfield. Of course, he was at Peterborough as well. What do you reckon then, Bainesy? Ryan Tafazoli?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think I want a former Wycombe player anywhere near the team. Absolutely not. I also I can't profess to know much about him, so I'll sort of bow to Mark's knowledge on that. Obviously, he's got insider info with his family. I've gone also defensive. We should have signed this player when he was available on a free, but Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Evans must have been twiddling their thumbs trying to work out who to sign. But it's Dan Butler from Peterborough. Athletic left back, really strong. He was part of their League One team that got promoted. He was a really integral part of that. 6 assists in that season across 42 games. So the same number of assists as Burns, not quite the goals, but from that position, if he could get some assists, that'd be great. He's 27, so he's still within his prime. Probably got one good contract left. His season with Peterborough got cut slightly short because of an injury, but they tied him down to a slightly longer contract, so he's got two more years on. So they must have rated him highly. So we'd have to pay for him, but I think he'd be a really solid acquisition, and a lot of attributes that would be beneficial to the team. I think, considering his age, McKenna would work well with him as well. So, but I don't think it will happen because I think, McAntony's going to be a tough negotiator. So it's more of a hope than an actual, belief that we could sign him.
I said you've got the power. You have the power to sign this player. In this sphere of fan social, you've got the power to sign a player, and 2 defensive players Boo, guys, boo. I'm not happy with that. We need striker. We need somebody who can score us goals. Brad, are your thoughts on Mark and Bainesy's two players and also your own player as well?
I like both suggestions. I like Tafazoli as solid defender, isn't he? And I like your thinking, Mark, where you can almost move Edmondson across to the middle, Tafazoli on the left, Wolfenden on the right, let them fight it out, I suppose. But and also you, Bainesy, I like Butler, and I do actually have a left wing back written down as well. But I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to scrap that. I've got another name. I'm going to go for striker. Matty Godden in the Championship, Coventry striker. He's a talisman, so it's unrealistic. But if you're looking at a striker who can kind of guarantee you goals at this level, he scored a handful of goals last time he was down here. Good all-round player, great touch, good finisher, can do a bit of everything really, going behind. So if I was picking a striker, I'd go and get Matty Godden. And like you say, Ross, if I've got the money like Ashton and that have to go and get said players, and I'd probably go and get him. If I was going pie in the sky, I'd go for Shariki Dembele from Bournemouth on loan. Maybe try and get him on loan for the season because they've just gone up to the Prem, play him on that left forward side. It'd be absolutely class for a pie in the sky suggestion. More realistic option, I'd like Corley Woodrow. He's just come down with Barnsley, hasn't he? So I think that's probably our best and most realistic one to go for would be Corley, unless he's going to get a suitor from the Championship because he's a good player. And I think he was the captain towards the end of last season with Barnsley as well. So leadership qualities there. I have got a left wing back written down, and my left wing back is Harry Pickering from Blackburn, who was very good at Crewe, came through at Crewe, was their captain at a really young age. I remember a couple of seasons ago, having watched both Crewe games, he was probably the best left back, / left wing back in the league. Got his move to Blackburn. He's had a good season there. I think he's probably been unlucky with injury there, so that's probably why I've added him on this list, because they've been in the playoffs nearly all season until right at the very end. So it's probably a little bit unrealistic as well. But if we're going to want to get out of this league, and if we've got this serious ambition, then go for these players. I mean, I've heard links of people who we're trying to inquire about already, and I don't know if that's all rubbish or if there's something in it. But then again, you look at last season, we went and got players like Connor Chapman, who had finished in the top 6 Championship side. So I think they're the sort of players we're going to be aiming for again, players who are at the upper end of the Championship. So yeah, I certainly hope with that left wing back role, they do spend a bit of money on it, because I don't really want to see a Dominic Thompson loan. I don't want to see a loan player come in unless he is shit hot, or a really young player from a Premier League club. Or I'd like us to go and spend a bit of money on that position, because that is going to be so key for us next season, with how good Wes was last season, and how basically the whole game shifted over to the right hand side, into where they knew our threat. They zeroed in on Wes, and none of our play ever went down the left hand side. So if we want a bit of balance, then I'd be looking at someone like Harry Pickering or Dan Butler, like you say, Tom. So yeah, good suggestions.
Indeed, and I'm opening the floor for any other suggestions. Bainesy, Mark, take it away. Is there any other players you'd like to see Town? Of course, we've been linked to a few strikers already. I'm sure there's a long list of strikers that Mark Astor and Kieran McKenna have got. I'm sure there's loads of long list of left wing backs as well. But any other names you want to chuck out there for the listeners to hear from?
Well, the one that springs to mind, and we haven't mentioned it yet, is probably Scott Twine from MK Dons.
Oof.
I mean, it's an area where, you know, we've sadly lacked, and McKenna's called it out, hasn't he, in the last season, set pieces. So to have somebody who's set piece specialist like he is, then that would be a real coup if we were able to grab him.
Yeah, I can see him most likely playing Championship football next season. But if we can sort of go, you're going to be our main man. We need set piece scorers. Can you be the man for us? But I'm sure we'll be wanting to play Championship football next season. But you never know. You never know. Once again, with this new pulling power of Kieran McKenna and Mark Ashley, you never know.
I haven't seen anyone as good as twine from long range in quite a long time, probably since James Maddison when he came through. How he's just so good. Like I was watching a playoff game and thinking this free kick's going in, and you don't often think that with players that take free kicks, but literally with Twine, every free kick I've watched him take, he's pretty much scored. So he's a hell of a player, and might come under the unrealistic, unfortunately, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already signed a deal somewhere. But yeah, I'd certainly take Twine if we were going to go for him.
Indeed. Bainesy, any other names you want to throw out?
Yeah, Twine would be amazing, but I think he's destined for the championship, isn't he? From a virtual perspective, he got quite a nice team of the season card on FIFA. I wasn't lucky enough to get him. Burns obviously didn't make the cut, but the other one I had was Johnson Clark-Harris, the guy we missed out on before. I know he didn't have the best of seasons in the championship last year, 12 goals. I think in terms of his minutes per goal, I think it was the same as Wes Burns. I think Wes Burns was 248 and Clark-Harris was 250. It's based on his prolific season, previously in League One. What was it? Something like, I'm looking, where's my notes? 31 goals. I mean, that's phenomenal. But at the same time, I am kind of weary because Piggott seemed like a sure thing and it hasn't worked out. And same with the likes of Stockton as well. Obviously, he scored that fantastic goal, but it could be a one season wonder, and I wouldn't want to risk it on that. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I agree with Brad. I think we'll probably be aiming higher. I think Woodrow would be a great addition because he's obviously got the chemistry with Chaplin. He's played with him before. I think that's going to be so key. We saw Chaplin play a more pivotal role towards the end of the season, and I think he'll kick on again because he's going to be here for a long time, hopefully. So yeah, I'd be equally happy with that as well.
Indeed.
Who's the United left back we're linked with, youngster? What's his name again?
Alvaro Fernandez. Yeah.
I'd say to the listeners, go check out his highlight reel because that's unreal. He's actually quite big and strong, isn't he, as well for his age? So someone you could probably see cutting it at League One. But yeah, go check him out if you've got a bit of time.
Anyone looks good on a highlight reel, though.
Yeah,
you can always be selective. I got very excited when watching Mr. Norwood's highlight reel, and unfortunately, we know how that turned out. But yeah, I guess whatever happens, I trust McKenna. We've got a manager now who's got a record of bringing youth through. So if he wants to pluck a youngster from United, I would trust him that he's the right person for the job. But yeah, I agree with Brad as well. Previously, hopefully it will be a permanent because obviously the left back and right back positions, in modern football now, in terms of tactically, they're key. They're really key positions now. So it'd be nice to see if we could lock someone into a 2-3 year deal, someone we could really rely upon heading up to hopefully the championship next season.
Yeah, I think loans I think that's a position where if we've just someone is a youngster, we're just there on the bench and he can come on, or if it is a loan where we just feel like Burson Selina sort of loan where you think how we got him. What's your take on that, Mark, about loans and stuff like that? We've gone away from having like 5 or 6 loans in a matchday squad, but I think they are good, but they need to be sort of spread out a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I'd much prefer to have our players tied to contracts, be Ipswich players rather than developing talent for other clubs. But we're League One, aren't we? So we're League One, and we've also, as Tom's just called out there, I would trust McKenna. If McKenna said, if McKenna was to bring in a couple of players from United, probably names that we might not be so familiar with, then I would trust him impeccably with his knowledge on that there as well. So, yeah, this is what this is this off-season part now, isn't it? It's this speculation of who's who and reading about these different players. So yeah, I'm excited to see who we're going to be linked with and who ultimately we're going to sign on a contract and who potentially will get in for a season loan, half a season. We'll see.
We shall see indeed. And I've actually decided to chuck in a new set piece for the pod. I haven't actually prepped you guys for this, but it's pretty easy to have a little think about it. Of course, good old Mark Heath, and we did a video actually on a YouTube channel as well about players that could leave the football club. So I thought just quickly get your thoughts on some of those names on that list, because there is, of course, the Sam Morsy debate, which we've had already, so we won't get into that. But there's a few other players who we're thinking, have they got a future at the football club? You know, what's Raheem Harper going to do? What's Carl Edwards going to do? Joe Pigott, you know, Vaclav Alanki, the goalie, you know, will he be there? We'll need to bring in another goalkeeper. So what's your thoughts on those sort of players on the cusp of, like, you know, Idris El Mazouni, Armando Dobra's coming back from Colchester? I'll go down to you, Brad, first. So Mark and Baines get a little think, because I just had a little chat with you there, Mark. But Brad, what do you reckon out of those sort of players? You know, I think there's some players who may have to go before we then bring in more players.
Yeah, I think you're right, and especially with the whole cap space in League One. I know with some of those players, they're probably going to be under the age required, so they probably won't count towards it. But two, you just mentioned there, Dobra and El Mazouni. I think a couple of years ago, under Evans, get my words out, Evans' ownership, that would be unthinkable, wouldn't it, saying that they can leave the club. But we've just moved on now. We're just moved on into the fact where we don't need to rely on these players coming through anymore. We just want them to be good enough, really, because it's great having one of your own come through. Of course it is, but we're not in a position now where our first teamers, we're sort of sick of sight of them. We've got to cling on to this young kid coming through. So the likes of Dobra and El Mazouni, I could absolutely see going. I like Elmiz. He's a good footballer and he's strong and he's technically gifted. So I think he'd probably be the least likely to go. But poor old Dobra has just had a season at Col U who didn't pull up any trees. He didn't come back, and I think he weren't allowed to, was he? So yeah, I really worried for Dobra when he showed so much promise. So yeah, we're just going to be looking for top players now to come to this football club, and unless the youngsters are coming up fast behind the senior players, then they could quite easily go. Same with Raheem Harper. I mean, you've got to earn your place for this football club now. You can't just come here and have the thing where you've played in the Premier League and you've got all this expectation on you, and you've got to be hitting the ground running, because you can't just expect just to, okay, this year weren't my year, next year I'll go again, sort of thing. So players like them have really got to come and show it on pre-season and really show up, because they could easily be out the door, like you say, Ross. And yeah, that piece that Heafy did, that did terrify me when I saw the main picture with Sam Morsy. I was, oh my God, don't even put that into my head. So as long as we keep our main spine of the team, yeah, we've already started nailing players down to contract, like Wolverton. Edmondson's on a long contract, not going anywhere. Morsy. I love Connor Chaplin, Wes Burns, new contract. So you've got a good spine of the team there where we've got something to build on. And if these young players aren't going to cut it, then they're not going to cut it. And will be replaced by ones who will be challenging for a first team place next season.
Indeed. Bainesy, over to you then, my friend. Those names I've mentioned, of course, I didn't mention Tyree Simpson, who pretty much wants to leave the club, but we took his option. Like Raheem Harper, I think he's a player that hopefully McKenna can work with. He went out on loan to Crewe, got relegated with Crewe, but he's a player there I feel McKenna could get his grass onto and really rough that diamond up, and hopefully he can be part of this team. But then his position is fully stacked at the moment.
When you sign as many players as we did in that space of time, that mental summer, there is absolutely, Mark Ashton is obviously, you know, CEO number one at the moment. Can't fault him for anything he's said or done. Fantastic. If I ever get a chance to meet him, I'll happily shake his hand and pat him on the back. But there is no way that all of those signings were going to work out. That would have been nothing short of a miracle. We saw it with Scott Fraser. I know obviously lots of people got very excited when he came in again, seemed a very sure thing, but it wasn't working, so we had to move on. And as Brad pointed out, you know, there are financial constraints. There are, you know, things that need to be switched around if we want to sign other people. And you know, Harper shows potentially a lot of promise early season, but he didn't really do much at Crewe. So have we perhaps got someone in Backinson who's been, you know, been with McKenna a bit longer, understands, you know, the standards expected, and, you know, has already got chemistry and understanding with people in the team. To me, it would seem a no-brainer to bring him in. And with Raheem Harper and, you know, Tyree Simpson, I think it's just about perhaps moving on, protect yourself with a nice sell-on clause if they do kick on, and wish them the best of luck. And then turning to El Miz and Dobra, I really like Dobra. I desperately wanted him to succeed. You know, I think in previous years we've always been seen as a very soft team, and as we're really nice. You know, we're basically given points away. Whereas he had a bit of fire and a bit of fight about him, and, you know, I thought he could play an integral part in. I thought League One was perfect for him. But our financial landscape is completely changed now. The caliber of players we can attract, if it's better than Dobrel and El Miz, you know, neither of them have particularly kicked on. It's, you know, thank you so much for all your efforts and your service, but we're gonna move on. And I think both of them just need a fresh start. El Miz has been incredibly unlucky with injuries. He obviously had that fantastic goal against Oldham away in the replay, but they haven't kicked on. We've got no time for sentiment. We absolutely have to get out of this league, you know, ASAP. And if they're not part of it, then that's just it's football. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We cannot have time for sentiment. If, you know, Game Changer want to get, you know, where they want to be, the Premier League, we've got no time for sentiment. So yeah, best of luck to all of them, wherever they go, and hope they end up somewhere half decent.
Yes, indeed. Mark, over to you. And I want to talk about Joe Pigott, because strikers is what we need. But Joe Pigott probably isn't going to be in McKenna's plans in terms of the style of play he is. So yeah, Joe Pigott, my friend, what do you think of him?
Well, we talked about this, didn't we, at the Crew game? You know, when you look at our strikers this year, you know, it's Caden Jackson. It's great that he's been offered a new contract. Norwood, he's been let go now. Macaulay Bonds returned back to his club. Pigott was our striker. He was the one that was contracted to us. And I think he's still contracted to us for another couple of years. So you don't score a hatful for one team and then move to another and suddenly become a bad player overnight. So I'd be curious to know what maybe has gone on behind the scenes, what's not clicked for him. You know, is it the style of play? Is it something else? There's definitely a player there, and I'd like to see Pigott given another year. I think, you know, he deserves, from what he's been able to bring into the game. Yes, it hasn't been goals, but his hold-up play has been pretty good. I think what we sometimes see with these players is they sometimes think it when they're on the pitch. Sometimes they should just do what comes naturally to them, and I just really am hopeful. Would like to see Pigott succeed. But we'll see. We'll see what the off season brings to us. One of the other players I was thinking about, which hasn't been mentioned, is Carl Edwards. Again, I put him into that same mould as a player there's definitely talent there, but you could see, but more and more throughout as a game developed and grew, that you could see that he was again overthinking that final pass rather than just naturally into the box to get one of the strikers onto it. And you could see the frustration that was coming through in his game when those sort of passes and that weren't coming off. So again, Carl Edwards, on paper, good player, but just doesn't seem to have worked out for him here at Town.
Sorry, I muted myself. For listeners there on video, would have seen me panicking, like, press the button, but it's all good. Okay then, boys. Any other business of that, or should we get into the strike?
On Kyle, Mark, like McKenna's you've seen already, he's trying to see players if they can be used in different roles, and I can't stop. Well, I can stop thinking about it. It's not all I think about, but surely Carl Edwards, could we try him in that left wing back role? Because he's good track and back, he's good defensively. You'll get what you want on the other side with the fact that he can beat his man. He can go on his left foot, no problem at all. So the balance would be off in any way. And I'd just like to see him just tried there, because I really don't want to see Kyle leave this football club. I don't think he'll leave this summer, but even next year, leave this football club without being tried in that role or given a new lease of life, because he's a hell of a talent, isn't he? I mean, those first few games, he was ridiculous. So I really hope he can find the role. And also Cameron Humphreys, where he's a left-footed player as well, a left-sided player. I also wonder, could maybe he be tried there in pre-season on that left wing back role, just a couple of games. I know Matt Penny's probably going to be the backup, so you probably look at third choice from in that role. But you're talking about a number of players covering different positions. I think Cameron played in that FA Youth Cup game at left midfield, didn't he, Ross? Against Liverpool, I'm sure he did. So, and he is a good crosser of a ball. So I'd like to see a couple of players tried in different roles before they either A, go out on loan, or B, go out the door entirely. So
I think it's just good if we can have. Oh, Bainesy, sorry.
Sorry, KVY is another one, isn't he? He played a lot of left back at Culture, and I think he's tied down to a reasonably longish contract, I think, as well. So what's happened to him? Obviously, he exploded when he joined. You know, did fantastically well, but yeah, you wonder where his place in the team is now equally as well. But yeah, I think I'd be gutted if Kyle Edwards left, because there's definitely something there, and you know that explosive, you know, pace and you know agility, and yeah, it would be sad to see him go. I think it was just end product for him. I think early on these fan socials, you know, end product with him was mentioned so consistently, and maybe Mark's right. It's just overthinking rather than just doing what comes naturally. But I think there'll be a place somewhere for him next season, you know, with us, wherever that is.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some players who will have a fresh start under McKenna. I think like Raheem Harper and Kyle Edwards, those sort of players will have a pre-season to see what they've got about. And I think what we need as well is something, they just need to be versatile as well. You know, I don't want you just be able to play one position. Sometimes it's good to see a versatile player. And I think in modern day of football, you need to play that position, this position. So we shall wait and see. Okay then, boys. Let's have a little breather before we get into the main set piece of the podcast. Of course, a strike is normally the main set piece anyway, but it's always a nice little breather for us. So Mark, Bainesy and Brad go head-to-head. Of course, we've had the Strike Invitational. If you haven't seen it, check it out. We're currently, the first round ties have been done. The quarter-final ties will be coming out next week, so look forward to those. Unfortunately, Mark, you missed out on taking part of the Strike Invitational, but you are on the strike this week for the Fan Social, so there's opportunity to take on Bainesy and Brad, who have been part of the Invitational as well, and they're through to the quarterfinals, and we shall see if they got through to the semi-finals. We won't jinx it, and we won't, you know, spoil it just yet. So then, boys, let's get right into it. So, if you didn't see, there was a nice little article that good old Andy Warren did about former Town players who are now free agents this summer. So I thought that was a nice little way to sort of use them as my strike questions. So I do have 4 questions plus a tiebreaker if needed. We'll still probably use the tiebreakers because, you know, I like to use my questions that I've researched. So the first question is on this man, Tom Lawrence, of course, who...
I'll take him.
Yeah, that was going to be my question afterwards.
Yeah.
But we shall see. The question on it, though, is what shirt number did Tom Lawrence wear during his time at Town? Was it 17, 22 or 27? And of course, a very good loan spell at the club. Of course, scored their many goals. He scored something like, once again, if you wanted to watch show reels, watch his show reel when he was at Town, because some of those strikes were unbelievable. Even the goal against Sheffield Wednesday, where he weed past loads of players. I remember being at Hillsborough for that game and thinking, like, wow, what a goal. But yeah, it was always going to be out of our reach. But now, realistically, if we had the regime we had now, I bet we would be able to sign him permanently back then. But yeah, we couldn't then because, yeah, we were just not able to afford him. But then, boys, all right then, what do you reckon? 17, 22 or 27? What shirt number did he wear? Take it away. Don't mind whenever you show it. 27, 27, 17. So to say, Mark, your debut on the strike has started with not a good start. It is 27. A little trick there, because I'm sure maybe everyone think, oh, there's a 7 in it. Was it 17? Was it 27? Was it 7? It was 27. But do not worry, Mark. Still got a couple more questions to go. Do not worry, my friend. But Bainesy, Brad, a point each for you. Next question is on this man, Danny Rowe. Remember him? And can you remember where he joined town from? He joined from a non-league team in 2017. Was it Macclesfield, Stockport, or Halifax? A random signing under Mick McCarthy in January 2017. Just randomly signed. I remember just saying, like, oh, we're signed a player. And I was like, oh, Danny Rowe from... Yeah, interesting. Of course, there's another Danny Rowe as well. And I remember we were linked to him a couple of years back. And we were like, we're now two Danny Rowes because he's Danny Rowe, the striker. But there we go. What do you reckon then, boys? Macclesfield, Stockport, or Halifax? Macclesfield. And you are all right. It is Macclesfield. So there we go. It's 2-1. Mark, you're on the board. You're on the board, my friend. There we go. That's good. That's a relief. That's fine. Next question is on this man and David McGoldrick.
Oh.
There we
Yes,
go.
please.
Did see. Yes, please, again. Now, how many goals did Dave McGoldrick score in his first full season at town in 34 games? I was going to do on the Straight Invitational semi-final tie, quarter-final tie. You'll find out. I did a question on Dave McGoldrick. I can't use another question again on him. I thought I would mix the questions up. So, how many goals did he score in his first full season at town after signing permanently after his loan spell in 34 games? Of course, after that season, he was linked to Leicester and stuff.
Why do I feel like this was a question I had last year in the strike, and I'm racking my brains as to what answer I gave?
I don't, possibly, or maybe how many goals he scored in total. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, then, boys.
I remember though he don't like the car journeys, so I don't think he's going to come this summer. So, but I think he got 16 goals.
12.
I put 9.
9. Well, someone is bang on, so that means you get 2 points. And that, Matt, it is Brad is bang on with 16 goals. Good return. Of course, that made Leicester City want to spend millions on him, but then, of course, Evans rejected it, and we all go, well, maybe that's which did actually happen.
Ever the modest man that.
Yes, pretty much. He's on video, and if you listen on audio, he's just sipping a beer of his pint, going boom, easy. So it is 4-2-1. Yes. So Brad has technically won because the final question is multiple choice. But we'll still play it. We'll still play the tiebreaker as well because why not? So I've done my research. Right? So the next question is on this man. Grant Ward, of course, scored a hat-trick on his debut. Coming off as a substitute, with his first touch, he scored. Now, what shirt number did he wear during his time at town? Was it 14, 18, or 22?
I recently moved on his match-worn shirt I had from the infamous Miss Lincoln game.
Oh, yes. What a bad game that was.
He likes to wag him with Grant Ward.
Did he?
Fun fact for you. He does. Outside button.
Very good. There we go. Wangamamas. I like a Wangamamas as well. A fun fact for you as well. Anyways, what's shirt number? 18, 14. Brad, I can't see Brad. So you're gonna have to shout out Brad.
18, I am.
18. Yes, it is 18. So sorry, Mark. It's another incorrect answer, my friend, but do not worry. Now, Brad, you have won overall. You have won 5-3-1, but we do have a tiebreaker. And are you going to gamble it?
Well, I've got every question right and actually one of them bang on. So, yes, go for it.
Okay, then. So the final question is on this man, and will Brad regret doing it? Now, Brad, you are overall winner, but the guys, if they get it bang on, they win overall. But if they don't get it bang on, you still win overall, so do not worry. So the final question is on a goalkeeper, Stephen Henderson, who is now a free agent. Now, how many clean sheets did he keep in 24 games for town? So the boys need to get it bang on to win the strike this week. Hopefully everybody at home's been playing. Let us know how you got on. So there we go.
Now I think that's quite high because that's when he was here when McCarthy first came in, and we started winning quite a few games 1-0. Little clue.
Brad knows the answer. Let's be honest. Let's all go home now. Brad knows.
Well, we'll start with you, Brad. What do you reckon, there, my friend?
I'll say 8.
Okay. Maisie?
8.
8? Oh.
All right, I went 10.
10. Well, for God's sake, it is bang on 8. So Bainesy has 1, but also Brad's 1. So I'm going to need a tiebreaker, aren't I? I'm going to need a tiebreaker, another tiebreaker. And I haven't really got one lined up, but I do actually somewhat do have one lined up, because why not? I'm going to use it. So the question won't appear on the screen because I haven't got that lined up, but I do have the picture of the man I'm going to use. The question is on this man. Mark, you can play as well. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Carry on
Thank
playing.
you.
It's fine. The final question is on this man. Jason Scotland.
Oh.
How many goals did he score in 97 games? How many goals do you reckon then, boys? So once again, if Bainesy get it bang on, he wins. So try the best guys to don't do the same answer. So I've got another tiebreaker lined up.
I kind of can't believe he played 97 games. I would have thought it was a lot less than that. So
yeah,
I'm either going to really undersell him.
Yeah, I can't believe that either. Right, I'll go 24.
24.
18.
Okay.
Well, I went a little bit higher. I went 34, but.
Well, Brad, overall you have 1. Bainesy didn't get it bang on, but he is closest though. It is 21.
Oh,
21. So
well,
very close.
No, we're both the same, aren't we? Because I said 24, so we're both 3 away.
That's not how you play the game. It's if Bainesy got it bang on, then yeah, but that's fine. You've won anyway, Brad. You won like 7-4 earlier. But there we go then, boys. Another strike in the bag. Brad, you have won again once again. Your thoughts on winning again?
Yeah, what can I say? I know all the answers, so that's quite easy when you know the answers into like any quiz. Sorry, guys, for that ridiculous Stephen Henderson one and the other double points one, but not sorry really, because champ.
Indeed. There we go. Another strike in the bag, Mark. How was it taking part of your first strike?
Oh, absolutely honoured to have been invited along and and being shown to be a little bit out of my depth. You know, there's exceptional knowledge, you know, amongst all Town fans, but you know, these two big hitters, Premier League players on the team, then I purely was here to make up the numbers.
That's fine, mate. You got the Danny Rowe question right. That's the big thing, because
yes,
yeah, everyone forgets Danny Rowe. Bless him. There we go then, boys. Now let's get into the final set piece of the podcast. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed listening at home. And of course, if you haven't already, support our sponsors at manscaped.com. Use the code KOA to get 20% off and free delivery with Manscaped. Your balls, so thank you and all that sort of stuff. Now, Mark, let's talk about the teams that are coming down from the Championship and also the teams that have gone up to the Championship from League One. Of course, Sunderland are now in the Championship after 4 years. Wigan have gone up, winning as champions. Rotherham are doing the standard thing, going up, down, up, down. So they're gone. The 3 teams replacing them is Derby, Peterborough and Barnsley. Now, how do you feel about those 3 teams coming down to League One and also the teams that have gone up?
Well, I'll start with Peterborough, if that's all right. Obviously, I work in Peterborough. That's where my office is. So I have a few posh fans around me, my boss being one of them as well. They weren't very good in the Championship. I mean, they've goals against was pretty horrendous. I think it was something like 87 goals that they ended up conceding. They only won 9 games. So one thing you can always guarantee with a game against Posh is goals. But they know League One. They are a streetwise team, if we're allowed to say that. So I think Posh coming down will be there. They'll be up there in the top half. Absolutely. Will they be knocking on the top 6? I mean, it's a difficult one to call that, but I think they will be there or thereabouts. Barnsley, are we allowed to say 4-2? We always love a game against Barnsley, don't we? Again, managerless at the moment. I think they're still looking for a first team coach. I don't know if that position's been filled yet. I think they might struggle a little bit this year. They'll definitely be a mid-table team, but I can't really see, unless their owner starts to spend some money, see them sort of like challenging anywhere in the top half. And then there's Derby. Where do we start? I mean, hopefully next week the takeover will finally go through. I think all the what we're seeing online is saying that it's formality now. It should go through by the end of the month. So another big club, big support, big fan base as well. But I mean, Rooney's already been on record to say that he needs to. They need a lot of players. They need a lot of players, both for their first team, for their academy, and we've shown ourselves that you can go out and buy 19, 20 players, but we won't use the word they need time to gel. We've done that one to death at the beginning of the season. But Derby definitely will be in the top half. They've got a very good manager in Rooney, and he knows how to get the best out of his players. But I think, hopefully this will be our 4th season in League One. Let's emulate Sunderland, as I said earlier on. We've got the spine of the team. We shouldn't necessarily fear any of those 3 that are coming down.
Indeed, well said, my friend. Over to you then, Bainesy. Derby, we don't really know what's going to happen with them at the moment, but it'd be very weird to see Wayne Rooney on the touchline in League One, like at the likes of Morecambe, Cheltenham, no disrespect to those sort of teams, Accrington. I can name many more, Forest Green Rovers and all that sort of stuff. But out of the 3 teams that have come down, Barnsley had another team. Yeah, we don't really know what's going to happen with them. As Mark said, they haven't got a manager at the moment. How are you thinking of those 3 teams?
Yeah, League One's vastly becoming like Championship 2, isn't it? I mean, in terms of Derby, an incredible situation there. They could have been in it, League One last season if the Football League had got round to getting the points deduction in. But as Mark said, it seems like the takeovers are formality. I had a quick look before and it said it looks like it's going to be confirmed fairly soon. So fingers crossed for them, because they've had a horrible time. Mel Morris, what an absolute awful man who's run that club into the ground with a lot of financial shithousery, and he's been holding things up. So there was always the fear that if they couldn't get the deal through, would they be on minus 15 points for this season, which is a big ask to get back. But it looks like they'll get it through before the season starts. So the likes of Lawrence, they'll probably tie down. They'll look to make other additions as well. So yeah, it's certainly going to be another interesting one. Barnsley again, interesting approach to how they do things. They've got Mr. Moneyball in Billy Bean behind the scenes. Can they go back up at the first time of asking? It's certainly not easy in this league by any stretch of the imagination, but I imagine they'll be around there somewhere. And then in terms of Posh, like Mark said, they've gone up and down. They know what to do. McAntony, as much as I loathe him, he knows what he's doing and he knows how to run the club. I wouldn't fancy having any negotiations with him over players, but yeah, I think it's going to be very tough next season, no doubt at all. But I'm glad Wigan, Rotherham, and Sunderland have gone up. 3 really, really big teams. Wickham losing in the playoffs was good. I was happy for them to lose because 1, they obviously played awful football, and 2, we got 6 points off them. Whereas the other 3 teams that went up, we didn't. So yeah, happy with how things have fared. But yeah, make no doubt at all, I'm optimistic and hopeful about next season, but I'm certainly not trying to get overexcited because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But fingers crossed, next year can be our year, as repetitive as that sentiment is.
New era, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. Of course, there'll be many more podcasts to come previewing next season, but this is an opportunity just to talk about the teams that are going to be coming up. Also, the teams coming from League Two. Brad, 8,000 miles we're going to be having to travel this season. You know, we're going to have new teams coming up. Forest Green Rovers, Bristol Rovers have come back up as well. So the South branch of the supporting, basically Bainesy was loving that. A lot of teams down there will be playing. How are you feeling, Brad, against the teams that are coming down, and also even the League Two teams? Because last year we only got 4 points, I think. You know, we didn't beat Cheltenham over 2 games, Morecambe over 2 games, Cambridge over 2 games, Bolton as well. Once again, Bolton could be an interesting team. Charlton, Portsmouth, those different teams, Oxford, MK Dons, those different teams. But how are you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, you've basically named every team in League One for next season there, so they're all going to be tough. Yeah, but the teams coming down, I think, are all going to be top half. Has Rooney actually come out and said that he is definitely staying, or what do we know there? Because I just can't see a world where Wayne Rooney is a League One manager, especially when you've got vacancies in Championship clubs already. Even like I can still see him go into the Premier League one day as well. Just like you can see players, not a player anymore, but people like your Frank Lampards, they get those jobs, don't they, on their names. And Rooney is a good manager and a good coach compared to him. And he's stuck by Derby, but I just can't see a world where Rooney's a League One manager. So it remains to be seen with them. I think that's going to be a big part of it. If he does stay, then you've got some sort of continuity there. But if he goes, I don't really know for him. But Posh, obviously, like you say, Tom and Mark, they'll be their usual League One up there sort of teams where we play them twice a year and we get really worked up each time we play, and they probably beat us 4-1 at the end. So not looking forward to playing Peterborough at all. I can't stand him. I can't stand McAntony. Couple of players there. Schmodix, he can do one as well. So, yeah, less said about him, the better. With Barnsley, classic yo-yo team as well. And I think that the key for them will be holding on to Woodrow, because I think he's going to be massive Premier League one if he stays. But if we can prize him away, then could weaken the rival. So, and yeah, the team's coming up from League Two. That's a hell of a last day for that division, wasn't it? Absolutely mental. Bristol Rovers coming up on the last day by scoring that many goals is ridiculous. So you never know what you get with League Two teams. Like you say, Ross, we didn't beat any last season, the ones that came up, which is quite pathetic. But I would say that League Two last season, from like first down to 10, was quite tight, like really tight. So there's no runaway leader who you can say, oh, they're a good bet for the top 6, like I'd say Bolton were last season because of their ridiculous run they had at the end of the League Two season last time they were in it. So, and also you got Forest Green's manager gone as well. So, I don't know. I think yeah, you might get one of them go down, maybe 2, but I don't think any of them are really going to pull up any trees. But I'm a Bristol Rovers is a second waiting to happen, obviously. So yeah, we'll see.
We shall indeed. Well, boys, it's been another fantastic podcast. But as always, we're getting to an hour now. So it's a nice little podcast for people to listen to on their runs, on their walks, on their drives to work, on the train, wherever you listen to. Hope you've enjoyed. Before we do leave you, I want to go to 3 of the lads. Any other business you want to mention, Mark? Anything else you want to cover before you wrap up?
Probably. Again, I might have mentioned this on the game day pod, and that I just we talk a lot about the player recruitment, and I know that like Lee Grant has joined the club today. There's still some backroom additions that I feel that the club needs to make, and a free kick specialist, set piece specialist is definitely something that I would be looking for. But I mean, come on, here we are talking about backroom staff coming into our team as well as playing staff. I mean, what a difference this first year has been under Game Changer, and isn't it exciting that we're able to have that sort of conversation? But for me, more goals from set pieces is going to help us in our quest to get out of League One next season. So I'll be excited to see who McKenna brings in and to fill that sort of position within the backroom staff.
Indeed, I think that's a big thing on any player we're going to look to sign. Can you take a free kick? Can you take a corner? Can you just bring a ball into the box and one of the defenders to header it or score a free kick? That's what I want to see. Well said. A great debut as well, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Bainesy, over to you, my friend. Any other business before we wrap up? As I said, you're going to love next season for away days. I even forgot Exeter are coming up as well. So that you've got so many, my friend. I'm sure you're disappointed Newport weren't part of the playoff race, because then that'd been a perfect one for you.
Upper Southwest. Thank you, Bristol Rovers, for a miraculous end day. But yeah, it's looking very good this season. I'm not quite sure how much I'll be seeing Mrs. Baines over next season. I'm not quite sure how many games she'll know I'll be going to. But yeah, it should be good next season, and it's certainly going to be an interesting one to see how those sides from League Two fare. But yeah. Bring on next season, please, God, be good.
Indeed. And over to you then, Brad, to wrap up the podcast. Any other business, my friend?
Yeah, just thinking then about what Mark said, and like the players that we like, talking about players that could leave the club. Like in times past, when we finished 11th in League One, we've been saying, get rid of him. He's no good. Out the door, please. Like, well, we're not, are we, at all? Because we've got a real good core of a squad here, and it's baffling that we finished 11th. And I like to think that as we just finished outside the playoffs, because in my eyes, the players were on the beach for the last few games. We could have finished anywhere. But yeah, roll on next season, and God, it's got to be our year, hasn't it? Yeah. Please, Ross. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. We all hope it will be, and as Mark said, hopefully we'll do a Sunderland. Sunderland 4 years in this division and they won, and now playing Championship football next season. So there we go. Well, boys, it's been another fantastic podcast. Mark, Bainesy, Brad, it's been a pleasure. Hope everybody's enjoyed listening. Hope you all have a good weekend. There'll be no fan social next week because I'm away. So little break for myself, but I'm sure that the boys will bring you a main pod and all the other podcasts that will be bringing you. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed once again. I shall shush now, and hope you all enjoy your weekend and speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.